G'day guys. Okay, so today's video is slightly longer because I swatched out all my Distress watercolor pencils and I thought I would leave this in the front of this video. These are new to me. I only got them just before Christmas and this is the first time I'm having a play with them. Made myself wait. Are you proud of me? I wanted to rip into these days ago. Now, if you're looking at these tins going, that doesn't look right. Okay. The order that I have these in the tins is not how they come. Okay, I've mixed them up and because I need to see them in rainbow order. I can't, that's how I process color. So now I'm doing quite a heavy, it feels like I'm pushing really heavy, like it looks like I'm pushing really heavy, but I'm not. I didn't even make a mark on the pencil. Like it literally, they're really quite hard. So they don't just melt, if that makes sense. So all I did is, you can see how much I'm using the finest watercolor brush, and to say there's pigment payoff is, it doesn't sound like I'm selling it enough, honestly. These things, if these are in your budget and if you're someone that likes to use a product, because I am going to end up using this product in so many different ways. If you've got the money to spend to get a high-end product for a reasonable price, I would actually say these are a reasonable price for the payoff, like for what you get with them. So the reason there's black cardstock on the end there is because it is the picket fence. So here I'm showing you that I am using I'm trying out the Vicky Bouton watercolor paper, and it is the foundations paper. So I've done nothing to this. There's no gesso on this, nothing. All I did is I put down a light spray, and because I've got a misting bottle, I bought it from Amazon AU. It was like 10 bucks, and it is awesome because it gives you a very, very light mist rather than a big jet spray. So what I thought I would do is just grab my craft knife and sort of, I'm just running, there's no pressure, like I'm literally just running it down the edge, and it's coming off like little sort of not spirals, not like you're shaving a pencil. It's coming off like, I can't really explain it. They're sort of like little curly bits. And what I wanted to do was see how much pigment bang for buck I could get without mixing it. So I didn't want them to mix. I wanted it to sort of look a bit like fireworks, a little bit like that. And I think I succeeded. Now, here in a minute, I make a huge mistake, but you guys know me, I will leave it in. Mistake or not, I will leave it in. And right here, I do it. Did that, got the paper. I'm just sopping up. So what I'm actually lifting off is actually the puddle. So as soon as I did that, I was so dirty with myself. I wanted to just stop and start again. But then I thought, no, I'm going to try and fix this somehow. So then I thought I would make it look like it was on purpose. And then I figured, now I'll just go over the top of it again and see what I can do with it. I think I salvage it. I think it's okay. Once I put I probably should have just left it with the swipe down the side. But hey, we live and we learn. Now, the amount of shavings that I'm putting on here, I did not even make a dent on my pencils. Like, not even. It literally was nothing. And the bang for buck is crazy. If you are in the market, or if you're someone that likes to buy a specific supply to be... Sorry, that's Jen with her new fidget toy. If you're someone that likes to get bang for buck with a supply, then these are going to be quite versatile, because one, you're going to be able to get And I'll show you here in a minute how I use it in a different way. So that way I'm using it literally like a watercolor, okay? Now the only thing that I want to, so what I'm doing with it here is I've just dipped it, like, I mean a second, like not very long whatsoever. And I've just rubbed it on the plastic, and now I'm just painting it to create a border. That's it. And I just pulled out a bigger brush. Now look at that. That is, you can't even tell that the watercolor pencil's even been touched. And I just go over it a little bit more, and then I thought I'll just touch it, see what that does. I'm sort of playing. So with this layout, I'm playing with these products to see what I can do with them, see what kind of effects I can get with them. And it turned out really good. Now this one's prized ribbon. That's the other thing I need to tell you. So all of these colors are in the distress color range. So they all have written on the side of them what color they are. There is no wood on these pencils, and they are quite weighty. Okay, so you can see here, I'm just scraping a tiny bit off, and I've put it on my plastic. Now this is my TCW Light and Fluffy modeling paste, the tiniest bit. Look at that. So as soon as I saw that, I thought, you know what, I can literally now make my own colored pastes, but in the distress line, without using the ink from my ink pads. I can use these. Always remember to clean your stencils quickly if you're using modeling paste. Huge disclaimer. So once I did this, I let it dry. I've done a bit of modeling paste. That was through my darkroom door. What's the stencil called? It's called Small Dots. So now what I decided to do, it dried. Now I'm spraying really, really high, so I'm not right on top of it. And what I'm actually trying to do here is I'm actually trying to get, I'm using black. So this is black soot now that I'm putting on top to see if the contrast is what it needs. And wow, to see this in real life, it is so cool. So this is one of, so in this video, I've used 2 different techniques so far. Now, I'm just drying it. As I said, I'm actually playing with the foundations paper as well. See how it's like squiggly? And it stays there because it's wet. That's actually the shape and the color that has melded to the paper. So that's not coming off at all. It's awesome. So there's my backing sheet for my 2 photos. Now I'm just using a bit of cardboard to raise these guys up because I'm not going to get them. This is something I did notice. Something I noticed was the pigment ink, mate. It is the pigment, sorry, the watercolor pencils, wowza. It gets on your hands. It is not, the one thing I will say is the way I was just using it, you can get quite messy doing it. So if that's an issue for you, maybe stick around and I'll do other techniques with it and we'll see where that goes with us, because this particular technique, it's quite messy. It just is what it is. It's the nature of the beast when you're talking about doing different mixed media on pages, on your layouts. It's going to get messy. So if you're able to maybe put down a sheet of paper underneath it, and I don't obviously because I'm videoing, but if that's something that you are able to do, not a problem. And the colors are so bright. The only color that I personally, when I swatched it, it was different to my, so you know, like when you look at a distress ink and then a distress oxide, they're the same color, but obviously because one's got pigment ink in it, it's creamier, right? When I did this and I did my swatches, the shaded lilac, now it seems to be throwing more blue than it is the pale lilac. I will keep playing with it, but that's what it did in the swatch for me. And it's the only one out of all the swatches that I felt was not 100% bang on the money when it comes to the same shade, the same tone as the others. Now, I know there was issues down the track. I heard some video, some different feedback of people saying that about the, here's another way that I'm using it, okay? So around the border, so I'm backing it on black, I've distressed the edges, and what I'm doing is I'm just touching the water, that's it. And it's just running along the edge of my cardstock. You can see how bright that is. The color payoff, I'm not scrubbing it onto there, I'm barely touching it. And it's left me a beautiful yellow border. It's gorgeous. I love it. So then I wanted to use them for obviously color in my titles, which is something that I usually use my distress oxides for, and I like to blend them, all that sort of thing. So here I'm just thinking, well, I'll just see if I can color in with them a bit, but I'll wet them and sort of use them like a wet crayon. That's where I was going with it. Check out the color. That one's Seedless Preserves. This one is Picked Raspberry. And the yellow is Mustard Seed. Now, these turned out stunning. I absolutely love them. I cannot fault anything at this point. Like I said, and it's an observation, it's not a fault. For me, shaded lilac in the watercolor pencils, it's a beautiful color. It's just not identical to the Distress ink and the Distress oxide. That's just an observation. It's not a criticism. So I will use it big time. So what I did there is I just wiped. So after they were dipped and I'd used them, I just sort of spun them around very gently on the paper, on the plastic, just to give me sort of a, more or less, a watercolor paint palette. That's what I'm using it as. And I've done this whole layout and you can't even tell that I've even touched my watercolor pencils. They're stunning. They're going to last a long time. Maybe they might last you longer than they last me, because I'll probably be using them a lot. I'm thinking, oh, and this is something else I thought I'd try. I wet a Q-tip and I was using that to paint with as well, because I was using my paintbrush, and I thought maybe, and then I used my finger and that worked perfectly as well. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to use a Q-tip, see what that's like, and that worked perfectly as well. So all your typical ways that you would probably use a paint or a watercolor paint, something along those lines, watercolor pencil, I'm using them more in a painting context than a coloring in context, but it turned out stunning. So once I remove the outside edge, once I start adding these on, it is beautiful. It just, they pop. And it's the, it's just that distress color. It's that oxide color. They're not oxides. They're, you know, they're watercolor pencils, but it's that, you know how you get that real color bang pop with the distress oxides? Well, that's what you get with these. I am over the moon, and I'll be honest with you, these are definitely my product. If I had to have a product of the year that I have bought and loved, it would be two things, and ironically, they're both from Ranger. Okay, one is the Stickles gel, the little pots that I use. I love that stuff. Love it, love it, love it. And these watercolor pencils would be another 2022 hit it out of the park. And yeah, that's probably if I'm talking products that I've bought and they have literally met my standard perfect, like exactly what I expected is exactly what I got, that's what these are. So now you can see my page is dried. Now I'm just going to, I do put a lot of tape on this, and it's not because the page has warped. It has not warped at all. So again, I'm going to do the review for the Vicky Bouton foundations paper. I'll be honest with you, I've never bought it before because it only comes in a 12 pack, and you guys know I do 6 layouts a week, so I would be going through a pack a fortnight. So but is it amazing? Yes. Does it hold up to the water? Yes. Does it warp? I'm going to say at this stage, for this one application, no, it really didn't warp. I did tape it right down though, but yeah, that's where I'm going. That's excessive amount of art glitter glue, I know. For anyone that's looking at that going, geez, Karen, glue that sucker down. I did that specifically because I wasn't sure going over the top of the watercolor pencils if it would create a resist, or if it would, obviously they're water soluble, so I thought that it would be fine, but I thought I would just do that just to be sure. And I'm just raising up the rest of the title on some foam stickers. And yeah, so overall, I have to say I absolutely love the watercolor pencils. I love this layout, how bright it is. It's absolutely awesome. I do come in and do another little something here, which was it was just something I wanted to try. And yeah, so I'll give it 1 second. So what I ended up doing was looking at this title, and it looks great, it looks fine, but you know as well as I do, I need things to pop. So I pulled out Bob, and I was going to go around it with Bob. If you're new to my channel, Bob is my 0.7mm POSCA, black POSCA pen. He comes out a lot. I absolutely love my POSCA pen. I love Bob. Now, what I decided to do was just moisten the end of the black soot watercolor pencil and just very gently run around inside the letters, around the outside of the letters. And it gives you a little black faint line. Is it the neatest? No. Is it as neat as Bob? No. But it was something I wanted to give it a go, see what it looked like, and it does give definition, and I'm really happy with it. So it turned out fine. It's probably not something I will do always, but again, it's another technique. So I've done the shaving technique, not the pencil shaving, but with the craft knife, I've done that. I've mixed it with texture paste and it colored them up beautifully. I've used them as a watercolor paint pretty much on the lettering, and I've then used them to go around the outside edge of the lettering to give it that sort of shadowed look. I have loved every single part of creating this video, the whole lot. So these are a big win for me. So if you ended up given money to buy craft supplies for Christmas, jump in my description below, jump on over to Crazy Craft Obsessions. There's a link in my description. Yes, it is an affiliate link. I'm letting you know that up front. And if you go over there and place an order, I'm not sure how many they're going to have or that sort of thing. But yeah, they're awesome. They are brilliant. So I'm just laying down the title now. And I did want to do, I'm showing you my hands. The black got a little messy. I'm just letting you know the black got a little messy. And it's so pigmented, it like stained my hands. I started writing with gold and then I thought, oh, will I write with black? No. And then I figured I'll go over it with a Sharpie, and then I thought, no, hang on a minute. And I stopped myself because I thought, I need the writing to actually stand out, and I wanted it to be in gold. So I went back and thought, I'll just write my journaling on a piece and do it this way, and it'll stand out because it's just on white. So it totally works. So here's my shameless plug. If you've got to this point and you are a fellow scrapper, either you like to scrapbook or you like watching scrapbooking, I post 6 videos a week, sometimes 7, and this is the way I scrapbook. Sometimes I add lots of bits and pieces, sometimes I use pattern papers, sometimes I just do everything off the top of my head. Then feel free to like and subscribe and leave me a comment and all that sort of stuff. I love reading all my comments and I get back to everybody. I do all that myself. And yeah, so I'm just adding a little bit of sequence here, and that's from the Uniquely Creative Sequins. It is called, it's all right, the sun's going down and I didn't turn my light on. The STARY Sequins. I'm not sure if they still have it anymore, but I will list it below so you can find it if you would like. And I did come in with some NUVO drops. Even though I made all that messy background, I still wanted some black dots just to bring the black forward a bit more. And yeah, I think it works perfectly. So thank you so very much. And thank you for watching if you've got all the way through this video. I absolutely appreciate every second of it. And here are the close-ups. If you want to see the close-up photos, jump over to my Facebook or my Instagram. They are linked below. Look at that bright yellow border. Now I did this really slowly so I could tell you this. Look at the border and look at the squiggles. See the squiggles? They are actually melded onto the paper. They're not sitting off the paper, so they're not going to dust off. They're actually on there because of the light misting. So you can see the black ones and the yellow ones and the picked raspberry. I think there's a bit of Villainous Potion on there as well. It turned out beautifully, and you can see the black ones. Don't mind my fingers, I told you it got messy. But yeah, I absolutely love how this layout turned out. It was so good. And it was perfect for curly hair because they look like curly hair. So yeah, so there you go. That is my page done. Like I said, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, all of the fun stuff. And 2023 is going to be filled with more creations like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will chat to you real soon. Thanks for that. Bye for now.